Good day. My name is Mike Flores. I am fortunate to serve as Chancellor of the Alamo Colleges District. And as you know, these are live streamed episodes that feature special guests that allow us to spend some time conversing about the strategic initiatives that we have at the Alamo Colleges District, the impact that they have in supporting our community and in particular our students. And so we're also excited to continue our partnership with Texas Public Radio, and we encourage you, after an episode of A Seat at the Table, to stay tuned and join us for Take Two with TPR, featuring Camille Phillips, and then a special guest, depending upon the conversation that we have for you today. So throughout the discussions, we also encourage you to post and questions in particular so that we can be able to answer those questions. Today's conversation is focused on Alamo Promise, and in particular, Alamo Promise Phase 2. And so as part of that rollout expansion of Phase 2A, we will be listing those new high schools in Phase 2A on the platform as you're watching with us. And I'm fortunate to be joined by two guests to be able to talk about Alamo Promise and the expansion of adding additional high schools as part of that. And so I'd like to welcome Dr. Brian Woods with us today on our show. And Dr. Woods has actually been with Northside ISD since 1992. He first joined as a teacher and has served as superintendent for the last 10 years. Welcome, Dr. Woods.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yes, sir. And then we're also fortunate to have with us Dr. Gene Sprague, and Dr. Sprague serves as the chair of the Board of Trustees, and he's with us today. Welcome, Dr. Sprague.
Great to be here. As always, love these sessions.
And Dr. Sprague has a tenure of 28 years with us as a member of the Alamo College's Board of Trustees, and also serves as chair. But I think an important note is actually also serves a good-sized portion of Northside ISD. And so thank you for being with us, and has connections to Northside ISD.
A lot, including a wife that was with the district for many, many years.
Yes, sir. So I think stay tuned, and we encourage you to take a seat and also join us in posting questions with a seat at the table. I'm going to begin actually, Dr. Sprague, with posing a question to you. So in particular, if you could talk to us about why Alamo Promise is important to the Board of Trustees.
You know, the first thing that everybody looks at, and of course we're excited about too, is that Alamo Promise does cover tuition and required fees for our current academic year graduates from participating high schools seeking an academic certificate or an associate's degree at one of Alamo colleges. But I think the most important aspect of this program is making students aware of the opportunities that they have. There's a pledge, an active pledge involved, mm-hmm. and hopefully our rallies get the students at those seniors at those schools excited about going on to college, and also seeing the possibilities for themselves, that it doesn't necessarily end at the end of their senior year unless they're going to a four-year university. So I think particularly also in the workforce area, this is critical. And one of the things questions is what do you hope to achieve by removing financial barriers from the college going equation? And that's pretty much what it is. Our biggest challenge right now at Alamo Colleges, we're ranked #1 in the nation as far as the community college district. We have the opportunities in place. We have the finest programs there are, both academically and on the workforce side. What we don't have is an awareness of the opportunities for each individual to come here, that they can come in here, successfully compete at all the universities in the state of Texas, and by the end of their junior year are ahead of the students that start at those respective universities. But if they go in the workforce environment, we're talking about jobs that are starting at $60,000. Not bad. It's a whole lot better than say, well, I think I'll see if I can get a job in a fast food restaurant because I don't know what else to do with my life. So, and as far as what the community can do to support and encourage high school students about attending college, I think, a lot of that help would come from Dr. Woods and Northside and the other high schools in San Antonio, Bexar County, and parents are always, wondering how to encourage their students to go on, do what to do, but they haven't necessarily been aware of what the possibilities are. So if we can get that sort of support, get the word out to the community, and then get that kind of support, we'll have a lot more people taking advantage of the PROMISE program, and we'll have a lot more college-educated students in the coming years.
Well, thank you, Dr. Sprague. I think as you noted, really we are ready. So we are ready for graduating high school seniors to connect with us as part of AlamoPROMISE. As Dr. Sprague mentioned, it begins actually with what's called the Save Your Seat form. And so you can even do it on this device, right? You can do it on a device on your cell phone. It takes a couple of things for you to commit to join the AlamoPROMISE. And then there's two other easy steps after that, which is the admissions application and then the financial aid form. And both individuals, caring professionals at the high schools, as well as our enrollment coaches from the Alamo colleges will take you through those steps, work with you, team with you, your parents or family members, a caring adult, to be able to get you through so that you then have 2 years, up to 2 years, to be able to be part of AlamoPROMISE. Perhaps that's preparing to transfer to university, or as noted, Dr. Sprague, then the other part is getting a certification to go and be prepared to go into the workforce. So we're ready. We want folks to connect with us as part of AlamoPROMISE and to save your seat. Dr. Woods, I want to thank you for joining us today. And I'm excited as a 1987 graduate of Oliver Wendell Holmes High School that we're expanding our presence of AlamoPROMISE in Northside. So we first began in phase 1 with Holmes and with Jay. And then now we've added Marshall and Stevens to that as part of our phase 2A expansion. So what guidance would you have for Northside seniors or seniors in our high schools in Bexar County that are eligible for PROMISE?
Yeah, I think the answer to the question is really pretty simple. Executing the answer to the question is a little bit more complex. So the answer to the question is don't leave high school without a plan for post-secondary education or training. That's the really simple answer. Unfortunately, the execution of that has not always been the easiest thing. And it's where PROMISE comes in and satisfies a real need, right? There's all kinds of barriers for students to access higher education, and PROMISE helps remove one of those key barriers. Mike talked about the kind of handshake between K-12 system, a graduating senior, and then the Alamo colleges, and how important it is for a student to feel like there's not this gap between the two steps, that there's a real integrated handoff, and that comes with enrollment counselors and obviously our counselors who play a tremendous role in helping students get to that next step in their life. The last thing I'll say about that is I think for a long time, K-12 institutions thought about their work going through the time where students crossed the stage and got a diploma. And that was it. And we went back and did it again, and with the next cohort of students. And now we don't see our work ending in that way, right? We see that we play an integral role in handing off a student to that higher ed institution, that training institution, because it's just critical for them to have a plan when they leave us.
Well, I think that handshake is critical to help students be successful, to negotiate through some of the things that may be a little challenging, and to have someone be able to guide you through that. One of the other parts is this has been a unique past 20 months, right? So, in looking at that in particular, what are some of the things that seniors, families, or we should be mindful of as we go forward?
I think what we worry about, frankly, out of the last the COVID period of time, is we've got two cohorts of graduates who didn't have as much access to their counselor or to their career and college advisor or whatever the school district that they attend offers, for obvious reasons. And so we really worry about, is there a gap in that handshake between K-12 and whatever the next institution is? We've actually used some of our federal stimulus dollars to try to create some positions to go out and reach out to those two cohorts of students and try to, one, check, was there a plan, and is the plan being executed? And if it isn't, how do we intervene to ensure that it is? But there are obvious concerns about those two cohorts of students. Now that we've got students almost completely back in buildings, we feel like we're going to be much better able, like pre-COVID, to be able to ensure that students leave us with a solid plan that can be monitored. But we do worry about those two groups of students who left during that really tumultuous period of time.
What's some of the feedback that maybe some of your staff or some of the team members have heard from those students and connecting with them and talking with them in particular?
Yeah, so there's I wouldn't say it's characterized in any one single way,
Sure.
but I would point out that early in the pandemic, when families lost jobs or were very uncertain about future income, especially families who have work coming from the service industry, hotels were closing, all of that. We had a lot of teenage students go and either get work who had not worked before, or take on many more hours than they were working before, just to keep food on the table. And we're having a hard time getting out of that cycle for some students. The family has become used to that. Perhaps it's still necessary from an income standpoint, and we're really struggling in some cases to get families to think, while it is completely understandable to think short term, if I'm
Right.
struggling to put food on the table, we're trying to help families think longer term about, let's think about this 18, 19-year-old. Let's think about where they're going to be in 3 years and 5 years and 8 years, not just in 3 years, 3 months and 5 months and 8 months, right? And let's think about what we can do for them via Promise, via the Alamo colleges generally, to get them some training that helps them really expand their skill set and thus their income earning potential long term.
Right. I think in looking at that as well, we've seen it from our lens, in which we know that many of our students make that kind of calculation, right?
Absolutely.
They're trying to figure out, with my part-time job, pretty much close to full-time job, can I afford to work less hours by taking courses or taking more courses? So I think it's how can then perhaps once again that handshake of us working together with the student to be able to make hopefully that transition as seamless as possible, right? Knowing that it does have a bottom line for them, definitely, as far as paying bills and being able to assist in the household.
And that's where I think that Alamo Colleges is back to Dr. Sprague's point about advertising what's available, that there is support for students who are coming to school here beyond just tuition and fees, right? That there are other vehicles of support, and that's really important for folks to understand, because it may help make that calculus a little bit easier to think longer term.
Yes, yes. All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Woods. And we do have a question, and let's see. So the question in particular, what about the other schools in San Antonio? Will you continue to expand? And definitely yes. And so we began with 25 public comprehensive high schools within Bexar County. And so that we're actually in the second year of that. And then we are now recruiting for what we call phase 2A, which includes 5 more public comprehensive high schools And 2 of those are in Northside, building on Holmes and J in phase 1 and adding in phase 2A Marshall and Stevens. Our intent is then to be able to add an additional 15 public comprehensive high schools. So all in for Alamo Promise, we would have a total of 45. And so year by year, our plan is to continue to add schools. We did have a little bit of what I would say is a hiccup, and that was COVID. And so we felt, as Dr. Woods mentioned, we had high school students that were pretty much for a portion of the year virtual. And so we know that we wanted to get them to cross the high school finish line first. And so we're ready once again with this expansion in phase 2A to add additional high schools. And so the other question is there help for non-promise seniors. So if you are not in one of the 30 or 29 public comprehensive high schools, there definitely is. So I'll cover one part, and then I know that Dr. Woods mentioned something about the wraparound support services, and Dr. Sprague actually knows that pretty well. But so yes, so what we encourage you to do, one is that tuition is relatively affordable. So it's about $1,200 a semester. If you're a full-time student, and so it's about $2,500 for the academic year. We actually do provide additional supports, which would include summer scholarships, and actually this coming spring we'll begin looking at supporting all or a portion of instructional materials, which are the books that you would have to pay for. Additionally, we provide scholarship dollars. We have close to $15 million a year in private scholarships that does not include Promise, that you can definitely apply for. And we have staff enrollment coaches or academic advisors that you're going to be teamed with to allow you to be able to do that. We want to make it as easy as possible, as seamless as possible to connect to our colleges. And then we have some wraparound support services. Dr. Sprague, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I also on the financial aid available, of course, it's income based, but we do have what's the federal Pell Grant program, which provides a very generous sum of money for students to attend. Our wraparound services, we've got really active with this in the last 3 or 4 years, and it's now become something around the nation. We just went to a national conference, and everybody's looking at how we're doing it. How you do that, the tremendous cost involved. The way we do that is to partner with all the various agencies in San Antonio, food bank being critical among those. We have clothing outlets that help us out a great deal. Students can basically go in and shop for high quality clothes in there. We have a partnership with UT Health, where we actually have 2 clinics out on the side of the campuses. A lot of that's by telemedicine, but there are also some live visits there. So, and there's help with housing from various agencies. So, yeah, I mean, a student, if they're in a real need for support services, we have them, including some very short-term things. Somebody's car breaks down, they can't get to class anymore, they can't afford the $2,000 to get it fixed. We have means to support that student. So, yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Sprague. I think the important part, as Dr. Sprague mentioned, is not only do we provide the tuition assistance to ensure that it is no to low cost, is then being able to meet the out of classroom needs, because we know that those are a challenge, whether they're K-12 students or whether they're college students. So we could have a student that perhaps is receiving reduced or free lunch or meals at K-12 that doesn't suddenly end once that student graduates from high school. And so we do provide food pantries. If you have an emergency, then as Dr. Sprague mentioned, we do have emergency aid. We're seeking in every day by partnering with entities to be able to make sure that the needs of our current students and then our prospective students are met. So I do want to make that clear. I think one of the things, Dr. Woods, that you mentioned is don't leave without a plan. So we know that there are a lot of high school seniors, family members, and others that are looking at what does post-high school look like? So is there a certification that I can earn while I'm still a senior? What does that look like once I graduate? What would my plan look like? Is it necessarily have to be 2 years at the Alamo colleges? It doesn't. It could be what we call a certification that could be 9 months or less. It could be actually a month certification that can take you into the workforce to ensure that you can provide for yourself and also for your families. So I think that's the key. We have another question coming in, and it says final thoughts on the whiteboard. So final thoughts. I'm going to ask our special guest, and then I'm going to ask Dr. Sprague for a final thought. Dr. Woods, don't leave without a plan. Additional final thoughts from you, sir.
I really want to echo what you said about K-12 is well known for having a system of wraparound supports for students. And then I think there's a perception that wraparound effort stops and you're on your own and you're cast to the wolves. And that's not at all true, especially at the Alamo colleges. And I think folks just need to be better aware of what's available. That Dr. Sprague just laid out this whole list of services that are available for students that make coming to the Alamo colleges, whether for certification or for an associate's degree, a really doable thing, both financially as well as with regard to other needs. So I just wanted to echo that. I think that's a really important point.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Woods. Dr. Sprague, final thoughts?
Yeah, I love the discussion we've had and pointing out the opportunities. That's the main thing, is that people become aware of the opportunities to fill in that gap from any of our high schools. Just one final thing is, people have asked me many times, is this free college? Well, in a way it is, but in a way it's not. This comes with something on the side, from the side of the potential students, and that is a commitment to say, I want a career for my life. I want to go on with my life. I'll sign a pledge to put my full attention to it. And so I think this program is really unique in terms of what it can do and provide opportunity for students.
Thank you, Dr. Sprague. And so final thoughts from Chairman Sprague, final thoughts from Superintendent Brian Woods. And so we just want to thank you. If you need additional information, I know it's been flashed on the screen, but you can go to alamo.edu/promise. It has both the list of existing high schools, which includes our Phase 2A high schools, all of the services that have been noted, not only for no cost tuition as part of our partnership, because it is a partnership between the Alamo colleges and the student and their educational champions. We want you to connect with us. We want to ensure, if you're a high school senior or no one, that you don't leave without a plan, because we do have, as Dr. Sprague noted, plenty of opportunity at the Alamo colleges for you and your family in the future. Thank you for being with us. And I especially want to encourage you to stay tuned and for Take Two with TPR featuring Camille Phillips, and featuring, most importantly, a future Alamo Promise student, Miss Lola Garcia. This is nice because I get to sit.
Hello and welcome to Take Two with TPR in partnership with the Alamo Colleges District. I'm Camille Phillips, education reporter with Texas Public Radio. Take Two with TPR are segments following a seat at the table where we just continue the conversation about whatever topic of the month it is. And this month is Alamo Promise, which we are now in year 3, right, Dr.
Yes.
Flores, of Alamo Promise. And I'm here with Chancellor of Alamo Colleges, Mike Flores, and Lola Garcia. You're a senior at John Jay in Northside, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're talking about Alamo Promise, and if you were listening earlier, you know that that is a promise of 2 years of free tuition and fees to the community college district here in San Antonio. It's for recent high school seniors that just graduated from Bexar County High School, and now, Dr. Flores, we're up to what, 39 high schools?
29.
29 high schools. Okay, so you added 4.
We added 4.
Okay, because I was looking at the list and I thought I counted more, but maybe I was off.
It's 29 public comprehensive high schools, and there's a few magnet programs that are in there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought I saw some charter schools or something. So you're saying 29.
Yes, public small magnet programs.
Okay.
No charters.
No charters yet. Okay. I saw Young Women's Leadership Academy,
Yes,
which
yes,
is
and district charter.
in district charter. Okay, that makes sense. So I wanted to ask, like, the first 25 high schools I know were chosen because they were in working class neighborhoods, lower income neighborhoods. You wanted to make sure that that promise was given to those neighborhoods first. How did you choose those next 4 high schools?
So there are 2 factors that we considered. So one was we looked at all of the public comprehensive high schools within Bexar County. And then we knew that we wanted to kind of beta test it or start with a small set of high schools, although I guess 25 isn't really that small, right? So in Alamo colleges, I guess that was starting small for us. So we had those 25 high schools, and we looked at both the socioeconomics, and then we also looked at the college going rates of the full list. Those 25 that we started with had a college going rate of less than half, less than 50%. And so those were the first 25 that we began with. And then as we're expanding Promise, then we looked to what were the next set of high schools that we could begin to work on. And so they were kind of next on the list.
Okay, that's right. Part of this, the goal of Alamo Promise, right, is to increase the college going rate in San Antonio, right?
Right.
It's a promise to the city as well, right? Like, we're going to have a workforce that is ready to meet your needs as businesses, right?
Yeah, I like that, Camille. It really is. So it's a promise to the student and their family. It's a promise to the community. It's a promise to employers in many ways, because our challenge, we want an ROI for the student, for their family, and for the community. So yes, it is. So our hope is, now we're at 29, and then the hope is to scale up over the next several years to cover all 45 public comprehensive high schools.
Well, Lola, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? You're a senior, is that right?
Yes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, so for instance, okay, you're a senior at John Jay. Have you grown up in San Antonio?
Yes, I've lived here my whole life, and I really like that we have this. So it just started when I started high school, and I never really thought about like financial reason. Like, I never really thought about that, and then now I really it hits me now. I think about it, and then I think it's good that we have the 2 years, because it really does help a lot. It takes a lot of stress off. It's always there, and then I really like the programs that they have. So I've been looking into the San Antonio College. They have the 2 years where you can switch to the BSN. I feel like nursing is a really good, like, a popular major. So I'm pretty sure that can help a lot of seniors out there that are going into nursing, because it's helping me a lot.
Okay. So earlier, your superintendent, Dr. Woods, was saying that you should leave high school with a plan. Sounds like, is that your plan then? You want to become a nurse?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sounds good. How did you, So you said you've heard about Alamo Promise when you were a couple years ago?
Yes, I think I was either a freshman or a sophomore when it started.
Okay, so it sounds like Dr. Flores, your work to at least get the word out in the high schools where you have it is working. It's something you were already thinking about before you were a senior,
Yeah.
as maybe you would take advantage of this opportunity.
Yes.
Okay. What made you decide to save your seat?
Mostly the it's mostly the financial. It really does help a lot. Me and my mom, we're not really I'm sorry, we're not really, we don't have a lot of money or anything like that. So it truly does really help. I've always worried about like loans and all that. I don't really want to be in debt my whole life. And so, but I really do want to have a good job, and medical has always interested me. So I know I've always wanted a job doing this. So
Okay. Well, I think if nothing else, we have learned that nurses will always be needed. Right?
yes.
What I was gonna say, have you decided for sure on San Antonio College yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
So that's your plan. What does it mean for you and your family to like not have to worry about paying for tuition for at least the first 2 years?
It really does help. We were worrying about like me like going to just a 4 year straight into a 4 year, and my mom, we were just thinking about loans, of course. And so when I found out about this, I didn't really believe it. I was like, there's no way they're just giving away 2 years for free. Like, there's got to be like some catch or something. And then there's not. And it really does help a lot.
That big sigh of relief.
Yes.
Do you have any siblings?
No, I don't.
Okay. So I imagine that even just with one kid, it's not,
Yes.
not cheap.
It's
right?
just, yes, when it's just me and her, yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just you and your mom.
Yes.
That makes a big difference, doesn't it? It's nice. How has the process been of saving your seat and just like navigating how to become a Promise student going so far?
It's super easy. It's super accessible. It took me like maybe 5 minutes to do just to save your seat. And then the application, same thing. It was super easy. Just fill it out. And it was all really super easy, super fast.
So you've already filled out the Apply Texas form
Yes.
too? Okay.
And
nice.
I've done my FAFSA already.
Oh,
yes.
FAFSA.
Yes.
Oh, wow, you are on top of things. Great, because those are the 3 things that you need to
Yes.
do, right?
Yeah, Lola's all done. So those are the 3 things that you have to do: save your seat, do the Apply Texas admissions application, and the FAFSA. So she's all set. She has her plan.
Perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is very early. It's not even Thanksgiving yet, and you are set. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Dr. Flores, I wanted to ask, I know that one of the kind of hiccups of launching Alamo Promise has been that it started right when COVID hit or right after COVID hit, right? It's when you first had your first
Mhm.
cohort. I know that made it harder to get the word out. It
Mhm.
sounds like it's working, at least in the high schools, but just how are you doing in getting the word out, and what do you think needs to be done next to make sure even more people know about it?
Sure. So, the first year of Alamo Promise when we launched in spring of 20, right, was actually pre-COVID. So we had what we called Save Your Seat rallies, right? And so that was almost like a football pep rally. So with marching band and an assembly and going through that and exciting kids about the steps, the students about the steps, beginning with the Save Your Seat. We actually, in the first year, things worked out really nicely. We were ahead in the FAFSA completion rate by several percentage points, which allowed us, as COVID started, then for most graduating high school seniors to have a plan and connect and enroll at the colleges. This second year has been a little bit more of a challenge for us. So we actually have extended Alamo Promise for this cohort into the fall semester for those students that graduated from high school in May or June of this year of 21. And then we've started up full throttle because we know with students like Lola and all of her peers back with Save Your Seat rallies again. Most of those are actually in person at any of our 25 phase 1 schools or the additional 5 that we've added. So we just had one this week at Veterans Memorial. We are looking at others, the other 4 high schools that have been added. So Veterans Memorial, as well as MacArthur and Madison and Northeast. And then, of course, we discussed earlier with Dr. Woods, And then we are also bringing online, right, Stevens and Marshall. So a Save Your Seat rally is really important, but I think the most important thing is really the partnership with teachers and counselors at John Jay, at the STEM Academy there, or at others, because Lola and her peers are interacting with those individuals on a daily basis, right? And so as long as they have the information, I think that's really critical. It is a partnership.
I did want to ask, I know at the beginning, originally, it was the requirement that you enroll full-time to become a Promise student, right? Is that, and I think you relaxed it a little bit during COVID. What is the requirement now?
So the requirement is actually that they are enrolled for a number of credit hours for the academic year, which is fall, spring, and summer. One of the reasons why we were looking at full-time is because we know that the time is the enemy of college completion, right? So the longer that you do take, the more challenging it is to complete your certification or degree or prepare to transfer. So we want to encourage students to do that, particularly by providing the scholarship, right? The no cost, and then providing wraparound services. So our intent would be that students, if they do have to work, that they can work a little less, and that they can see all of the support and wraparound that we're going to provide them.
We need to wrap up, but I did
Sure.
want to ask really quickly, Lola, how is that going to work for you and your mom? Like, are you going to work a little bit and go to school full time? Or
Oh yeah, yes, I have
Yeah.
a job, and so I feel like that also helps me too, because I was also thinking about, like y'all said earlier, of picking up more hours
Mhm.
to help pay. But then with this, it also helps me out too.
It's possible, not easy, but possible.
Yes.
Well, so good luck, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Take Two with TPR. I'm Camille Phillips, education reporter at Texas Public Radio, here with Dr. Flores, Chancellor of Alamo Colleges, and Lola Garcia, incoming class of 2022 Alamo Promise, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
there you go.
Thank you for listening.